Okay, I am live, sort of. I think. Looks like. Okay. And where's my chat window? Hmm. I always have trouble setting this thing up for chat. Okay, hopefully I have a working chat window here now. YouTube is a little goofy. All right. Well, we're up and running, and don't think anybody's online yet. Doesn't look like anybody's watching yet. Good. Okay. That's interesting. Oh, it's this guy. Okay. All right. Okay. So I already started doing some observing here. Had some trouble initially, so I thought I'd better test everything out carefully to make sure everything's working right. And decided to target something that isn't observed very often. I'd never seen an image of it before. This is Sharpless 2-71, also known as RO, RO31, I think, or 131. I'll have to double check that. Hang on. Making some notes here. For the observations tonight. I'm using my IDIS LPRD2 filter tonight, rather than just an IR cut filter, which is what I usually use. The reason for that is I'm not sure about the transparency tonight. And because of that, I'm concerned because of high-level haze and smoke left over from previous days that there may be a lot of scattered city light from all that smoke. So I decided to use the LPR, the light pollution filter tonight because of that. And that means the colors are going to be a little different. I can't quite get the color balance right in sharp cap. It's close, but it's a little off. Um, the IDIS filter passes blue, green, and red pretty well, but it has notches where it drops out blue LED light and low pressure sodium light that's kind of in the orange range. So it has a tendency to kind of saturate colors a little bit more than a normal filter does because it's dropping out that orange. So reds are really red and greens and blues are very blue. So at least in sharp cap. And so I'm going to go ahead and save this image. This has been stacking away while I've been setting things up. And you can see it's been running for a while because the field has rotated quite a bit. This is in Aquila near Altair, not too far from Altair. So, I'm going to go ahead and save this image. And so that'll be my first target for the evening. And so it's already approaching the meridian now. Looks like it's gotten pretty dark. Sunset's heading toward 8 o'clock rather quickly, which is good because we're going to have longer nights now. But you can see the moon is over here near Jupiter, and it's only about an hour away from setting, maybe an hour and a little over an hour at best. So hopefully it's not going to bother us too much tonight. We'll just see what we get here. So I'm going to go ahead and let's get rid of that. I'm going to go ahead and clear this last stack. I'm going to talk about this nebula a little bit just before I close it up. You can see it's a planetary nebula, and it's what's the designation? It's also designated RO31 and a few other of these obscure designations. It doesn't have an Able number, but or an NGC for that matter. But it's an unusual planetary, and you can see it's kind of got an unusual structure. I like to call it the red violin nebula because it has this kind of violin shape to it, but it's very red. Not many other colors in it, which is probably why it's not really observed visually. It just doesn't seem to be show up in imaging either very often. But you can see it has some interesting structure out here, and has a nice bright central star and a little double star next to it, which I'm not quite resolving. I think I actually did resolve that double star in Skyview Acres when I imaged it there. Let me see if I can pull up an image from Skyview Acres, which will be kind of an interesting thing to compare it to. Somewhat about the same exposure. Let's see, this is not too different. About 600 seconds, so let's see what that looks like. So this is what it looked like in Skyview Acres. And so you can see some of this reflection, what looks to be kind of a reflection nebula down here almost, is just not showing up. I think this was something I took fairly early in the evening, so the sky wasn't quite dark yet, but so you can see some of the contrast features just don't quite show up as much. But there is definitely a double star there. I didn't resolve it there either. You can see it's a little bit, the seeing is actually a little better this evening than it was at Skyview Acres. The star image is a little bit sharper, but it just transparency and darkness, so contrast isn't as good. And the IDIS filter requires longer exposures. This was just the IR cut filter, so I wasn't losing any image or anything at all from the visible spectrum with this exposure here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the contrast here a little bit, see if we can see some of these other features here. And that's just not showing up down here very much, but that's the difference between a dark sky site. If I expose longer, I might be able to see some of this, some of those interesting features down there. But the seeing is definitely pretty good, so I might be able to see some small stuff. Okay. So I'm going to clear this live stack and look for some new targets here. Doesn't look like anybody is connecting up here yet. But I'll go ahead and talk. Hopefully some people will be listening a little bit later. Let's see. So we can look for a few objects here. See what might be interesting to look at. Let's go ahead and look at this guy here and see what this looks like. This is another red planetary. Okay, so we're going to go to that. Telescope slewing. And let's see if we got anything here. Let the telescope settle in here for a minute. After it slews, there's a little bit of rattle, and it'll get better in a minute. Ah, there we go. That looks like it right there. So I'm just going to slide over here a little bit. Try to get that centered. A little bit more. So I figured we'd hit a few planetaries in Aquila tonight before moving on to other objects. And looks like I'm aligned on, so I'm going to mark that as aligned. So I'm moving the telescope mount has a little bit of error, and so this gets things centered. So it looks like we got one viewer on there now. Ah, Seth, hi. So yeah, no problem. I'm been can't really travel, so it kind of works out for me and everybody. I'm kind of my wife is out of town, so I'm kind of manning the castle walls here today. So I decided it probably wasn't a great time to go out and head to stub. So I'm going to zoom in on this little guy and start stacking it. This is, right now I'm just looking at, this is a single frame, and it looks like we're tracking really quite well. So I'm going to, oh, satellite just went through. Poop. Okay, so I'm going to go and I'm going to switch to bin 1. And we're going to see if we can get a little bit better resolution out of the camera here. Okay, there we go. Star images are looking pretty darn good. So I'm going to, wow. Oh, this is good. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to go ahead and start stacking this. 2-second exposures, bin 1, which is 1/2 second or 1/2 arc second per pixel. So I'm going to go ahead and start live stacking that. And let's see. And I'm going to have to adjust my star size filter because now I'm at bin 2 or bin 1, and that means the star images are bigger, the brighter star images. And it looks like, maybe I'm being a little bit overly ambitious. Okay, well, I'll try 8. I'll try setting the star filter size at 8 pixels, full width half max. So that's the average. This average star size for these images here. Let's see. So I'm going to go back and look at the stack now, and clear some of these calibration settings. All right. So the IDIS filter does some funny things to colors, so you have to fuss around with the color balance a lot. There we go. That's not too bad. Okay. And here we go. Got a nice little hourglass-shaped nebula here. So this guy is, oh, what is this thing? This is NGC 6778. And another planetary. We are targeted, here's Altair right there. So we're kind of right sort of toward the tail of the eagle here. And here's the meridian. So we're just coming up on meridian right now. And we're getting some decent stacking, so this isn't too bad. Star images look decent, and looks like it's settling in with a little bit. So I'm going to drop the star image filter, so we'll get a little bit, let's see, maybe about 7.7, and we'll try that. Okay, that's good. So yeah, this is actually showing up pretty nicely. You can see some of the features starting to pull out in the nebula here. This little tiny, it's kind of a miniature dumbbell nebula, but in red. And so the seeing is okay, but not super great. I'd like the star images to be a little bit sharper than this. But looks like the mount's tracking pretty well, so we're not losing too many images to subframes to smear. And so yeah, these little green bars indicate it's accepting those frames. So you can see the frame count stacking here, increasing here. Red bars indicate an omitted frame because the full width half max filter rejected the frame. You can see this little blue line shows where the cutoff is. So any frame where the star size averages smaller than where I've got that set, which is 7.7 pixels, it'll accept the frame. So maybe the wind's picked up a little bit, seeing's gone a little bit out, the mount may be wobbling around a little bit. It is an Altaz mount, not designed for imaging, so it's not always the greatest tracking mount. But anyway, so this is a cute little nebula. I'm going to pop this up to 150 so it's a little easier to see on YouTube. So you can see it's got these two lobes and kind of a split here. And it's got these kind of jet things coming out on this side. I'm going to increase the, oh, look, we're getting, seeing's pretty good here. We're already stacked up to 2 minutes. That's good. So I'm going to, we've got quite a bit of data now, so I'm going to pull up the contrast some more. And I'm going to pull down the sky background. And I got to pull back the, it was better off there. Pull the red down a little bit. That's pretty good. It tends to be a little bit blue because it's passing, it's from the LED light. It is passing some of that. So I'm actually, when I'm at 100%, it's 1-to-1 pixels. But I'm going to kick it back up to 150 so it's a little bit easier for everybody to see. And so you can see these little, this little halo and these jets kind of off to one side here, to the other side, and this nice little dumbbell shape with this kind of weight material in the middle here. It's a pretty cool little nebula. It's really tiny, but I think this is one of the things that would be really nice in SharpCap is if there was like an image scale, so you can kind of set it up so you automatically have a ruler and say, oh, this is so many arc seconds across, but that's about 0.3 arc seconds across, I believe. Or I mean, 0.4 by 0.3 arc minutes, sorry. So, so anyway, that's a pretty cool nebula. That looks pretty nice. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. Let me mark the, see, NGC 6778. Yep, it does look like a micro dumbbell. And I'm actually at bin 1 here, so it's pretty small. Oh, hi, Greg. Here, let me show you where it's at. And this is where I'm targeting. And there's Altair and Aquila right here with the constellation frames. And you know what? Let me turn up the constellation intensity here so it's a little easier to see. There we go. Okay. So yeah, there it is right there. Oh yeah, yeah. It's I don't have. There is a plate solving feature in SharpCap, and I just have never set it up. So, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead and this is at 3 minutes right now, so I'm going to let it stack for a minute. I'm just going to mark my mark the observation here. So create new observation, and this is for, yep, virtual start party, August 17th. And so I'm going to mark down that I did bin 1, gain 420, exposure 2 seconds. All right, and I've got at least 94 frame stacks, so we'll say 94 plus frames. Hourglass shape. So this is making notations in, oh, hi, Prem. Yeah, it's a cute little guy. Lobes. It's a little planetary, and very small, has these, let's see, jets moving north and south from sides of hourglass shape. I'm doing, this is with the IDIS LPR D2 filter, so that's why the sky background's a little bit blue. It's kind of hard to get the color balance just right. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that as observed there, and I'm going to save, whoops, let me mark, let's see, 6, where am I? 6778, okay. If you see 6778, okay. So we got 4 minutes in here, so that's not too bad. And this has been 1, so the scale is half arc second per pixel. And so the scene has actually gotten pretty darn decent. Mount is tracking really well too, so that's helping out. And so you guys checked in a little bit late. Let me show you what I looked at first before you came in here. This is Sharpless 2-71, and I put about 400 seconds in on this one. And it's another planetary nebula that's got a Sharpless number. It doesn't have an NGC or anything like that. Kind of looks to me like kind of a violin. I like calling this a red violin nebula. And you see there's a nice little central star and a kind of a double star that I'm not resolving here. This was at bin 1. So unfortunately, the things, when I was imaging this, it was still a little windy and I just wasn't getting a very good image. But anyway, this is kind of a cool little guy. So that was the first thing I landed on as a test image. And you can see I was imaging it for a while because I got a lot of image rotation, which is why I got this dark frame here. I've got an Altaz mount, so image rotation is definitely a problem. So, and actually, if I zoom out here, you can see I'm actually drifting quite far out. Luckily, it's a small target, so I'm not too concerned about losing so much of the image there. So I'm going to go ahead and save this and move on to the next target. Yeah, a lot of planetary nebulas are very interesting objects. They are definitely actually, since the seeing's pretty good, we might try out the Egg Nebula. And let me see if it's in a spot where we can get at it. Let's see, that is at 70. Yeah, we can do that. How about we try the Egg Nebula? That's an interesting object to take a look at. See what we can get. I'm going to run outside and make sure my cables aren't tangling. Hang on. Okay. No cables. And let's see what we get here. See if I get anywhere near where I'm. Ah, there it is right there. How about? All right. Go down a little bit. Okay, this should be interesting. Yeah, everything's working pretty well. So I had a big scare though. My mount was doing weird things when I was setting up and getting it aligned. And it turned out I'd accidentally changed um, what do you call it? Uh, the GMT from -8 to +8, and so it thought Rigel was up, and so that was a panic of about 20 minutes there. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and start live stacking this guy. This is looking good. Don't worry about that. Let me go ahead and I've got the single image histogram turned way up here. There we go. That's better. Okay. Actually, this is not something that I looked at last week. This is a completely different object, and so actually, we are getting some real. Oh, holy cow! Okay, that is really good. I think I'm going to set my filter at my star filter at 7 here. Come on. Oh, you're doing so well. Okay. Anyway, let me do some adjustments here. You know, the scene tonight isn't half bad, and we're getting decent transparency, which is just shocking to me, but here it is. Okay. So I'm going to pull the green up just a hair, try to get the color balance in here. Not bad. Okay. Maybe a little bit low on the blue. A little more green. Okay. All right. This is very interesting. This is a protoplanetary nebula. So it's essentially a planetary nebula, but it's just in the process of its early formation stages. It's got a long way to get to looking like what we looked at a few minutes ago, or the um, Ring Nebula for that matter. This is one of those images that's actually been made famous by the Hubble, or the nebulas that's made famous by the Hubble. The Hubble imaged it, and it has these oval concentric rings and these rays that come out from either side from the polar jets from the star. The star is right in there. And so there's still a bunch of material that seems to be blocking the light from the star, but it's emitted a lot of material in the polar jets as well. And that material is getting lit up. And you can just barely start to see. I'm going to magnify this up a little bit. Let's see what our full width. Oh man, that's, I have a half a mind to reset this and see if I can get a little bit better detail in here, because our seeing is getting better and better. These guys are actually dual jets right here, and we might just be able to pick those up. I'm gonna go ahead and save this, and yeah, you can just start to see some of these jets starting to show up just a hair. I'm gonna pull up the contrast a little more and see if I can pull that out a little bit more. Yeah, you can see some of the extended nebula that's starting to show up right here. And that's pretty good. Okay, let's see what we get here. That's not half bad. In fact, that's really good. We're at 3 minutes. It's an interesting object. But you can see when you look at it in a field of view, it's just kind of lost amongst the other stars. And what is, oh, it looks like I'm getting a little bit of reflection at the edge off of the filter from this bright star there. Oh, see, now we're starting to see the forks and the jets. It's just starting to show up. Yeah, I'm going to let that go for a minute while I look for another target here. Anybody have some suggestions here? We are in Cygnus, and so got the Pelican Nebula, North American. Zenith is, where is Zenith? Zenith is up here, so we're probably good in all these areas around here. Might be able to get, this is getting a little bit close to the Zenith. Dobson's hole starts right about there, so I'm not sure that we're not a little bit too close for that. Crescent Nebula is out of bounds too. I think it's too far up there. 6894 looks like it's another little planetary nebula that might be worth a shot. And it's, let's see, it's 70, so yeah, that's about 20 degrees away from Zenith, so we could do that as well. That might be an interesting planetary, and since seeing is pretty good right now, planetaries are good targets since they are small, and I'm running at bin 1. How about that? So that is not too shabby. And we're starting to see the fork getting out to about maybe half the width of the nebula on that side. It's pretty bright on this side, not just barely showing up over here. So, so I think I'm going to go ahead and save this sucker. And we'll let it go to 5 minutes. We're so close, why not? I'll go back and I'll play around with the contrast at some future point. That's pretty darn good, though. I've got a previous image of the Egg Nebula, which is, let's see, this one here. Yeah, that was one of my previous images from home, and you can see I was getting pretty decent, but I was having some collimation problems. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm having some was having some problem with fan-shaped stars there. And I've since fixed the collimation stability a little bit, so stars are quite a bit rounder than I was, so I'm getting better results on that front. Let's see, I've got round stars everywhere. How about connector, which are sometimes Sky Safari decides to just disconnect. Come on. Okay. Where does it think I am? Okay, let me align on this. Okay. So while I'm on the live stack here, and I kind of gone to hell there. Probably had some trouble with some wind kicking up in the backyard. So, so I'm going to go ahead and start the slew over to this guy, and we can probably poke in at the Veil Nebula in a few minutes. Maybe get that, look at a different part than we looked at last time. And egg. Okay, I'm going to create an observation on this, and I'm just going to note down that I did this at bin 1. Bin 1, gain 420, exposure was, let's see, 160, okay, wow, bin 2, and 165, okay, 2 seconds. So I'll make some notes on the image later on that one. Just want to log that I looked at that. Okay, so now I'm going to pull the, oh, hey, there it is right there. Wow. Okay, that's good. That's a pretty big guy. Well, of course, it's bin 1. Okay. So you can see this guy is kind of in the middle of, there's solder right there, barrier. So it's kind of just a one side in thickness here. So, and that looks pretty darn cool. So let's go ahead and start live stacking there. Oh, I don't know, which Jeff is that? Is that Jeff Hubbard, maybe? I don't know who, whoops, there we go. Clear that. And yeah, we can see the star images are pretty darn small, so this is good. I'm going to go ahead and set this at about 6.5 maybe. There, that's good. Okay. Okay, so let me fix the display histogram. There we go. That looks decent. Let's hear what our star images look like. Not half bad. Nice round stars. This is almost overhead. We're about 20 degrees below zenith here. And color calibration looks pretty good. And this is, I'll just let that go ahead and stack for a minute. This, NBC 6894 Insignia, so another planetary. And the seas good, and the tracking on the mount is good, and everything in the collimation is good. I'm getting nice round star images, and just how about that? Oh, Lee, hi Lee. Jeff got it. Okay. So this is kind of an interesting planetary. We can see that the it definitely your basic ring shape, but it's kind of a wobbly ring. And it looks like we've got some faint halo on this side. I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of contrast adjustment here. Wow, this is now the background blue is because I'm using an IDIS LPR2 filter to knock out the light pollution from the from any smoke, scattered by any smoke. Transparency is actually not too shabby tonight, so I'm not about that. I definitely want to take a look at some parts of the Ring Nebula after this and see what we get. You can see with the IDIS filter, it's the inclination. So you can see these red, these stars have become very red. To get the color balance, I kind of have to do some wacky things with the color. And actually, I'm going to pull just a smidgen here. Too much. Try to get the color balance a little bit better. That's a little bit better. Yeah, not bad. Okay, I'll level that. And central star starting to come out here. Looks like we're also going to pick up some other stars on the inside of that. Unless that happens to be my hot pixel. I need to take new darks because I've got a hot pixel somewhere over here. Fortunately, it's a little green pixel, so if you guys see any little kind of wavy green wormy things, that's my hot pixel. Because I have a little bit of a sloppy mount, and as the image drifts and rotates, hot pixels will drift and produce a little trail, as opposed to just producing a hot point like you would with an equatorial tracking mount. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty cool looking. I'm going to bring this up to about 125, so it's a little bit easier to see online. And very red. This is another one of those objects I suspect is not viewed visually very often. The red is a little bit diluted, so it looks like there's some other color emissions as well. And actually, no. Sharp cat. Okay, whatever. Yeah, come on, reconnect. Okay, we'll just give it a minute. The network is just a little hinky, I guess. Why not? Huh. That's interesting. I didn't. Oh, that's, yeah. Okay, never mind. So yeah, this is a pretty interesting little object here. I'm going to, we've got 3 minutes of stacking here now as I've been messing around. So I'm going to try to pull up the contrast a little bit more. Kind of on the noisy side. The IDIS LPR filter requires longer exposures. So it's going to be a little bit noisier than it would be otherwise because of just requiring a longer exposure. But kind of this irregular, almost kind of a toothy pattern on the inside edge here. And got a few little stars starting to show up in the middle. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and do a save on this. And I'm going to note the object is observed. So I'm going to do a create observation on this and note my camera settings. I do save those when I save the image, but I like putting them in the in my my observation database as well, so I can kind of get ideas to what settings and exposure times are required to get decent images. So this has been one scale of 1/2 second per arc pixel, or arc second per pixel, 1/2 arc second per pixel. Gain is set to 420. Exposure is, how's my exposure? It is, I think 2, yeah, I've got doing 2-second exposures times, it's more than 112. What's my exposure here? 2, yeah, 2 seconds, okay. All right. And virtual start party, blah, 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 blah. And I'll make notes on this later. I'll go back and look at the image. I just want to note down basics on here. IDIS, LPR, E2. That's my filter. And go ahead and hit done. In Sky Safari, it'll save observations. So you can see here my virtual star party observations, and here are the things that we've looked at so far. And then I can open these up and prowl through these what we are looking at. So I really like Sky Safari. They do a good job with it. It's still needs some work. There's a few rough edges on some of the latest features, but you know, it's still pretty darn good. Okay, let me go ahead and connect. Good. Okay, we're going to align on that. And I'm going to go ahead and do one more save here because that's a pretty decent image. And wow, I can't believe I'm getting, that's good. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty darn good. Okay. So I'm going to knock off the live stack here and try somewhere else. I'd like to try out the nebula here. And by the way, can everybody hear me? Just want to make sure that I'm not having any sound problems. It didn't seem like there were any problems earlier, so I'm assuming everything's okay. Okay, so I want to go to this little area right over here. So if anybody's got some requests, go ahead and put in requests for objects. And let's see what we got here. Settling in. And I am going to switch this to from bin 1 to full frame. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Okay. And then I'm going to browse, load my dark, and load my flat. And we are at bin 1 now. Good. And are we pointing at anything at all of interest? We are pointing about where I want to be. And okay. So let's see, I'm going to move up just a hair. Let it settle in for a moment. And exposure to, got my dark, I'm in 1, full frame, and so let me go ahead and start. Actually, let me make sure that the star images, wow, nice, okay, good. Okay, let's go ahead and let's live stack that. And I'm going to set, okay. Okay, so let's see if we can get some Veil Nebula action here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull down the green here a little bit. Okay, that's pretty neutral, or about as neutral as I'm going to get. I could probably pull the red up just a hair. And let's see what we get here. Sorry for the silence for a moment here. I got to concentrate. Adjusting this This is probably going to take a little longer to pick up something because I'm running bin 1. I'm not quite sure it's worth it. I'll get an image a lot faster at bin 2. Oh, there it is. We're starting to pick it up. So, wow, that's just not coming in at all right now. Oh, there it is. We're starting to get a little bit of something. I'm looking here. Oh, I'm kind of in between spots. Let me go ahead and I'm going to go up here a little bit. Okay, here we go. You can see the noise cleans up as it starts stacking. So we're only at 4 frames right now. So come on, you can do it. Yeah, maybe a little bit too ambitious. The wind may be kicking up a little bit in the backyard. Yeah, we'll give it a shot. We'll see what we get. I'm going to kick this up to 6.6. Okay. All right. So let's pull the green down here a little bit. Try to get our color balance in, right? A little more teal-like, and so let me pull the IDIS filter requires very weird color balance settings. Come on. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, come on. They really need to improve the controls on this. This is the part that's just really too touchy in sharp cap. Come on. Oh my gosh. Too far. uh, There's a thing, if you hold down the shift key, it's supposed to go slowly, but um, it really is, you know what, here what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this and see if maybe this has a little bit more, there's this hysteresis. Okay. Uh, okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's go ahead and resume that. Yeah, this part of the nebula is pretty dim. I'm wondering if we're starting to have some problems with some something coming into the getting into the sky here, because that should pop a little more readily than it is, and I don't know exactly what's going on there. It just simply may be because I'm at bin 1, which is probably overkill. I mean, it is the veil. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go to bin 2. It's going to come out. It's just going to be a lot longer exposure if I do it at bin. Okay. So when I switch to bin 2, what'll happen is it'll essentially 4 pixels get merged into a single pixel, and so you end up with four little light buckets combined into one light bucket, and so it'll tend to produce an image faster if I go to bin 2. Since the veil is so large anyway, there's just no reason not to do that. Planetary's bin 1 is very useful, but see if I got everything selected. So that's, yep. Okay, and that, okay. Go ahead and live stack that, clear. And with smaller bin, of course, the star images are going to be way smaller. And you can see how the image is actually coming in a lot faster now. So I'm going to clear that one more time because I didn't have my filter set low enough. Okay, here we go. Good. Okay. The IDIS filter does mean that exposures take longer, and that's just one of those things that happens. Yeah, I'm going to increase this a little bit. Oh, this is, we're looking at a portion of the Veil Nebula right now. And, you know what, let's leave it at that. So, it's just starting to come into, starting to show up now. You can see that it's building up a lot faster now than I'm at bin 2. And plus also, I'm not losing as many images to, what do you call it, seeing variations, mount, jiggles, etc., etc. This portion of the nebula is mostly red. There are a few bluish spots in it as well, which are up here. And but that's starting to come in. It's not as bright as some of the other parts of the nebula. And I've never imaged it from home with the IDIS filter. So I was kind of curious as to what it would look like with the IDIS filter. The light pollution filter does knock out a lot. And so it's going to take longer to get some of these exposures. Looks like there's a little bit of blue showing up over here too. So while that's stacking, I'm going to go and I'm going to look at next target. Let's see. So here's Meridian right here, and blue flash. Is that? Oh, that's a planetary nebula in Delphinus. I think we might have looked at that last time. Can't remember. There's some galaxies available here. I don't know if anybody has any requests, but feel free to make some suggestions in the live chat. I don't see anybody commenting with suggestions for imaging, but let's see. Got some pretty good seeing, so might be nice to look at some of these globular clusters. There are quite a few interesting ones out here that are pretty bright. This one's pretty dense. I've never looked at this one. It might be interesting. There's a nice little galaxy pair right here that might be worth a shot in Delphinus. We've got, let's see, I put a few objects on the list. There are a few nice galaxies over here. This is a pretty bright galaxy. It might be interesting to take a look at. And a couple of spirals in Pegasus and Delphinus that might be worth taking a look-see. And so let's see where we're at here. So we're at 104 seconds now, so we're rejecting a lot of frames right now. Yeah. For the sake of speed, I'm going to be a little less picky about the frames that I allow to pass. And I'm working on the next target here. So let's see, where are we at? We are right here. So this would be just a direct drop down. So I think one of these galaxies, maybe try 7042, or we could try, what is this guy? Oh yeah, he's pretty dim. Let me see if I have any observations of him. Oh yeah, this guy is pretty faint, so it would require some deep imaging. I'm going to skip that. The surface brightness is low on him, so I don't think he's going to be worth looking at. But let's see, what's this? This is spiral galaxy there. And we could try this guy. I looked at this one before. No, it doesn't look like it. Terra Incognita. I think that might be worth it. Okay. Yeah, this is starting to show up pretty decently now. Okay, so now we're up to 2 minutes. Stacking a lot more frames. I'm going to go up to 100% and prowl around in here a little bit. So you can see, yeah, most of this section of the nebula is very red. A few little blue wisps in it, but yeah, I should have not had that pulled up so much. There we go. More contrast. Now that we have more frame stack, I can pull up the contrast and we can see more. Let's go to 50%. Yeah, there we go. That's starting to show up decently. So yeah, IDIS filter, I'd probably need to go to 68 minutes to really show this stuff really nicely. Just got a lot more noise with that. But yeah, last week with without the IDIS filter, or a couple weeks back, let me show you what the Veil Nebula looked like. This is the Witch's Broom, and where is it? Witch's Broom, where are you? There. So it's a somewhat brighter section of the nebula, but the transparency was just fabulous a couple weeks back. And so there was I didn't have a light pollution filter in at all. And this was This was 260 seconds, so I'm at not quite there yet, but yeah, I'm at 240 seconds right now. But this is about the same exposure, so you can see that there's a lot more noise, and um, just because of the LPR filter, it just signal to noise ratio just isn't as good. But yeah, that was a lot of detail that showed up last week. Um, I'm just a little hamstrung with the LPR filter, but I just think we need it for tonight. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mark this as, let's see where we at. This is 6979. Okay. So I'm going to do a create, hello. Okay, so I'm going to create observation on that. And this is pin to gain 420 minus LPR D2. Exposure 2 seconds times 160 frames at least. And I'll make some notations on that a little bit more later. Go ahead and save. I think I said 67. What was that? Yeah, 6979. Okay, so go ahead and save that. Save as viewed. Okay, so I'm going to clear the stack on that. And we'll head over to the Galaxy and see what we get from that. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a go to there. Pull up the exposure here so I can see what I'm doing when I get there. And this is 6 NGC 7056. So I'm going to mark this down and write this down in sharp caps so I have something to save it to the right folder when I start imaging. And I think that's it right there, maybe. Yes, I see those double stars and there's a double star there. So I'm going to go ahead and move that over just a bit to get it centered. So a little bit further. There we go. Fairly small, I think. Tracking's pretty good. I'm just going to go ahead and start stacking this. Okay, so let's see what we get here. And I have to clear the single frame histogram. And okay. Let's see what we get here. Make sure I have my darks and my flats applied properly, and I do. And I'm going to do a little bit adjustment on the okay. That is a pretty small galaxy. I was hoping it would be a little bit larger than that. I'll let that stack for a minute while I look that up. So yeah, oh, this one's only 1 by 1, which is why it's so small. Okay. Starting to see some interesting details there, though. Okay. A little bit lower in the sky here. The sky glow from Portland is higher, so I have to adjust the black point a little bit to compensate for that. So we'll go ahead and let that stack for a little bit. And I'm going to look for the other one because I think I accidentally clicked, I think I wanted to go to this one, which was larger. Yeah, this is the one I wanted to go to. So we'll try this one. This guy's larger. Okay. Yeah, not a very good view. Interesting though, that looks like something. I don't know what, but what is that? Almost looks like a distant cluster or something. There may be some distant galaxy clusters in here that are showing up too. That could be what that is. There are quite a few. Oh yeah, see, there's some galaxies right there. There. I think we're getting crisp enough images. I'm pretty sure that that's what those are. Yeah. Galaxy, probably a double star. There's a galaxy right there, galaxy. So yeah, actually, yeah, that looks like a galaxy too. You see how it's kind of soft edge? So this looks the same magnitude, but that I suspect is a galaxy, there's a galaxy there. So there are tons of these background galaxies in Delphinus. Still a little too noisy to tell for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's what some of that stuff is. I'm going to go ahead and save this. And mark that as observed. Create new observation. And LPR E2 N2 gain 420. Exposure 2 seconds times 79 plus. Quite small. Make some quick notations here. Quite small. This little longer exposure. Yeah, that's a very tough little guy here. Okay. So mark that as observed. Okay. So let's go. Hello. Let's go check out this guy. He looks quite a bit bigger. Is that the one I wanted? Yeah, let's go this one. Okay, 7015. Clear, go back to my single frame view so I can see what I'm doing. And zoom out here so I fit the whole frame in and see where the target is. And I do not see is not obvious. I think I'm up here, so yeah, that's right. Should be right in there. Okay. Man. Okay, there's that little star group there. And oh, there it is right down there. I'm a little bit too high. There. Okay, there's that little group of 3 stars, which I think yeah, that's it right there. Oof. Kind of dim. That direction and, oh, see, that was too far. Stop. Okay. Oh, wow. The mount just went crazy. Stop, 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 stop. Yeah, no kidding. What the heck? Just lost its mind and went zipping off. Technology. Gotta love it, gotta hate it. Okay, let's try this. There he is. Yeah, the sky is kind of looking bright. It just seems like, I don't know. I have to, when this starts stacking, I'm going to go outside and just look at the sky for a minute just to see what's going on. Because I'm inside right now and a little disconnected from what's going on. Okay, let's go ahead and live stack that. Okay, doing a line on that. Okay. There we go. Okay. Oh, looks like we're going to get some spiral arms out of this guy. And there's some faint galaxies back behind it too. And indeed there is, right there. There's a little 16.5 magnitude galaxy right off to the edge there. Okay. Let's see how we get. Oh yeah, we're definitely getting something to look at here. Pull down the sky. Yeah, I think our transparency is degraded. Oh, look, we just had a satellite come through. Okay, yeah, fine. Satellite. Ah, poo. Okay, let me do a reset here because something bad just happened with tracking. Okay, that's better. Sometimes the network connection to the telescope controller glitches, and I just let it wait for a few minutes here. Okay, I'm just going to let this go for a few minutes. Oh, we've got some wind problems. We just got kicked around and it didn't filter the darn image. Doggone it. Well, things were going really well, and now things aren't going so well. Yeah, I just got an extra frame stacked. That's gonna be useless. Look into individual frames here and check what the tracking looks like. Looks just fine. I don't know why that happened. I'm gonna have to clear the stack because it really got wrecked. So I'm definitely gonna set this on the low side. It looks like you have to really, really follow the star images because if your seeing gets really good, you got to lower the star filter to kind of track it, because if you don't, it won't properly detect when it got a smear, because a smear is still going to be below the threshold of throwing it out. So you kind of have to track. If your seeing gets really good all of a sudden, then you gotta track the full width half max back down to follow it. Okay, I'm gonna go back and look at the stack here. Clear the. Okay, here we go. That's a little better. A little noisy, but not too bad. And I am going to pull that back just a little bit. Boy, that is such a teeny tiny little galaxy. I'm going to go out for a moment and let that stack for a few minutes. And, oh yeah, fine, okay. I'm going to check sky conditions. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, I see the problem here. We've got some smokiness that's starting to, or something that's starting to come in that direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kill this because the wind's kind of kicking me around anyway. And I'm going to go over to Cassiopeia, which looks like it's in a much clearer spot. Um, so we'll head over in that direction and see if we have some better luck. Yeah, why not? Okay. So I'm going to go to NGC 185 as a first target over in that direction. NGC 185 is a satellite galaxy of the Andromeda, actually, galaxy. And it's an dwarf elliptical. And if I recall, it has some interesting dust lanes in it that I've been meaning to take a look at. So we'll give that a shot. So we just passed the Andromeda galaxy there. And there's 185. And actually, right next to 185 is NGC 147, which is another satellite of M31. Okay. All right. Oh, that's right. Huh. Weird. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, whatever. Okay, let's see what we got here. There it is. Oof, that should be brighter than that. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I think we may have just gotten hit with some smoke kind of wrecking the sky. I will make a few more valiant attempts at. Okay, that was a little obnoxious. And we'll just see if we can get some, see anything here. That's probably why the Veil Nebula was so tough. It was, we were already starting to get some degradation in that direction overhead. And the only spot I see in the sky that doesn't seem to have a kind of a red haze in it is Cassiopeia. And this is pretty near Cassiopeia. So let's see what we get here. Okay. Go ahead and start live stacking. Clear that. It's funny, the star images are actually are pretty small. It's just transparency's gone to hell. So good seeing, rotten transparency. Oh, well. And you can see the sky is way darker in this direction. I'm having to pull the black point back a whole lot, so. Okay. Yeah, and that was just a gust of wind that just whacked me. I could hear it blowing out there. My backyard is surrounded by plastic. I have some plastic fence that raises my made out of plastic bags and what do you call those things? PVC pipe that I can install on the top of my wooden fence, and it raises my fence about 2.5 feet. It's almost 3 feet to block out neighbors' lights all around. And so, yeah, I need to. Wow, this is sad. So I can hear the, whenever the wind kicks up, it gets blown about a little bit so that I know it's there. That we got some wind. Dang. Okay, so at least we're getting some stacking now. The wind died down, and it looks like we'll get something, maybe. So that's stacking. Let's see here. Let me go over to, I'm gonna mark this as my current alignment target. Pin 2, gain 420, exposure 2 seconds times 32 plus frames. IDIS E2, RDF E2. Oh, wow. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble with unfiltered frames like that. Jeez. I just wrecked that image. Bit of a wind kicks me and then, God. Okay. Gotta clear that. It just wrecked that image. There we go. Oh, what the heck? Why was the line frames turned off? No wonder I was having trouble. That's weird. Why was that checked off? I must have hit it accidentally. Holy cow. That's embarrassing. Operator error. Okay. Align frames is now turned on. I must have accidentally hit it at some point when I was fussing around with one of the other settings. Okay. Gonna up this to 4.3 pixels for the star filter. And let that go. I'm going to go out and check sky conditions again. And actually, this is going to take a minute or so to probably have the noise reduced down. But I think you can already see there's a little clot of dust right here and superimposed on the elliptical galaxy. It's kind of interesting. A couple of NGC 110 also has a lot of dust in it. And it seems like these little elliptical galaxies, they got captured by M31 and they used to not be ellipticals. And it's like you can still see vestiges of their former, maybe their former spiralness, and some of the dust is still left over from that period and has not completely been eaten up. So I don't know. It's interesting. But yeah, let me go out and check sky conditions again. This is, there's a lot of noise and it just looks like there's a lot of sky glow. So I think we're having some transparency problems. Hang on. Well, this is disappointing. We're definitely having some, I can see some kind of hazy cloud-like something or others up there. It's not exactly covering this particular object, but it's kind of off to the west and to the south, and almost going to overhead. And there is an area around around NG or Cassiopeia, in where I'm pointing right now. That yeah, you can see here's Cassiopeia and here's NGC 185 right here, and there's the Andromeda Galaxy. So you see, it's quite far out. Andromeda has quite a few satellite galaxies, just like the Milky Way, and there are a bunch of them out here. And actually, if I look up Andromeda, yeah, you can see there's several of these other little satellites. There's Andromeda 3, Andromeda 1 right there, and Andromeda 2 way down there. And these are faint little guys. I mean, they're little galaxies. They're low surface brightness, so very, very difficult to see. 14th magnitude at 4 by 2 arc minutes is very low surface magnitude. And then Andromeda 7, which is way in the other direction. It's like that's actually an Andromeda Galaxy satellite. So there are a few other ones in here too that I guess are not in the catalog. But anyway, okay, so let's see what we got here. Well, that's starting to look like something. Not a total loss. So yeah, there's that little that little cloud of dust that I seem to remember reading about in NGC 185. Still a bit noisy there. And actually, I'm going to pull down the contrast a little bit, since we just don't have the data yet for that, to put that much of a contrast expansion on it. But yeah, there's definitely some dust in there. Some of this right here is just, I think that's just visual artifacts in the from the camera. That'll average out with for longer exposure. So I'll let that go for a minute. And see, what's this guy here? No. Yeah, Pegasus didn't look that great. We can try out the Pac-Man Nebula and maybe see if we can see anything there. No. There we go. There you go. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. So, NGC, what that's 180, right? Yeah, 185. There we go. My memory's going. Yeah, it's still a little noisy, too noisy to be sure about some of these other things, but that's definitely definitely a dust cloud in that galaxy there. I think there may be one more there. Not sure about these other ones. It's just would require much longer exposure to get those. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that. I'm going to indicate that this has been observed. Create new observation. Into gain 420, exposure 2x108. 2 seconds times 108 frames minus RD2. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Yeah, if anybody sees the line frames clicked off, please tell me. I've done that before where I accidentally click it and it was like, why am I not stacking frames properly anymore? You can see a couple other galaxies. There's another little galaxy right there. I don't know. Yeah, it's a distant PGC galaxy. 16th magnitude, almost 16th magnitude. And it's this guy. Well, that's interesting. Why can't I see him? See him. Oh, because it's further out. Oh, there it is. Wow, that is a very, very edge-on galaxy. That's this guy right here. Holy cow. Yep. You can see the various artifacts are kind of starting to fade out a little bit, and we're left with a couple of dust lanes, right, or dust motes right here and here. So I'm going to go ahead and save that final version and head off to Pac-Man Nebula, I guess. Try that out. Okay. So zoom out. Okay. There's 147. Maybe I should go up and take a look at that, just since I'm here. This spot's pretty clear. Comparatively speaking. Cantankerous mount. There we go. Stay. Okay. Well, the surface brightness on this one isn't nearly as high. Yeah. Well, this is a bit frustrating. This smoke is just a very sad thing. It just seems like we're losing more and more of our summers to smoke the last couple of years. 2016 seemed pretty good. We didn't have nearly as much trouble with it. But 2017, 2018, man, I'm just shocked at the amount of smoke that we had. It just, they're saying that the fire season in California won't be over till October, and British Columbia is all on fire, and it's just, Oregon isn't so bad, but Northern Washington, British Columbia, California, just a mess, and they all export their smoke to us. So, well, yeah, it's a lot lower surface brightness here, and not. Come on. We could try a nice colorful open cluster, I suppose, too. That's a little less challenging. And there are a couple of really cool open clusters, and the owl cluster is nifty. And then there's also, what is it, NGC 50 or M52, I think? Where is that? Yeah. Try taking a look at that. Wow, 147 is really not showing up very well. I know that should be showing up a whole lot better than that. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and save this because I don't think that's going to get much better than that. Mark it as observed. Create into input plane. Two seconds times 53 frames, because I was not very patient there. And what is this? IDIS. We are D2. There we go. All righty. So let me reset single frame histograms so we can see where we're going here when I start driving again. And go ahead and go to the Pac-Man Nebula. I don't think we're going to get good results here, so We'll go to the owl cluster next if that doesn't look like it's going to be very good. Well, that does look like we are properly centered. Okay, I can barely see some features here, so let's try it. Clear. NGC, what is this guy? (2A1), duh. Okay. I definitely see the Pac-Man Nebula. Let me reset the, how about that? Okay. Well, that's not too bad, all things considered. I may have lucked out and found a patch of sky that's actually fairly transparent compared to 281. Seeing some of these nice little dust lanes right here. Yeah, we're losing a lot of the blue. I think the particulates in the sky are really scattering a lot of blue light back, so we're not seeing things that are very blue very well tonight. I think it's just getting washed out by the sky glow. But star images are pretty decent. Nice and round. Oh man, I've been having this terrible trouble with collimation, where the scope wouldn't, the mirror just would not maintain collimation all the way from horizon to zenith. I'd have to kind of set it for a range of about maybe 30 degrees where it'd be really good, and then outside that it would go to hell. And so I had Ryan send me some instructions as to how to correct the problem, and it's one of those things I didn't really notice before I started doing imaging. And as soon as I started doing imaging, I started noticing it's like, why are my stars fan shaped in this image but not in that image? And so then I realized it was a collimation problem. So so there's this, the mirror just isn't being quite held tightly by this particular little lock ring. And so I've tried tightening it down this afternoon and kind of got it a little bit, but there's some Loctite on it or something or other. So I had to ask them some more questions as to how to proceed to lock it since it's still stiff and doesn't seem to want to turn to the lock ring won't turn to tighten up the mirror. So what I ended up doing was I noticed that what was happening was there was a little bit of wobble between the ring, lock ring, or a mount ring in the mirror. And so what I did was that's where all the wobble is. So I cut some cardstock and folded it up a couple pieces, just about the right thickness, and shoved it in there. And lo and behold, that seemed to have stopped my mirror from rocking. So that this is my first test of that tonight. Um, Cobbled together solution until they give me a good description of how to get rid of the Loctite so I can tighten the mirror down some more. Ah, yikes. Well, this is starting to look pretty nice. Starting to get some decent detail in the Pac-Man Nebula here. At 4 minutes. Again, with the IDIS filter, light pollution filter, you have to increase your exposure quite a bit. It knocks out a lot of red, and because of the orange and street lights and so on. So there's definitely some that it tries to filter out. So there's definitely some loss in the red bands. Of course, a lot of this is up at 656 nanometers in the hydrogen alpha. I don't know if there's other colors elsewhere that shorter wavelengths that are still in the red band or not, but yeah, that's starting to look pretty decent. So I'm going to go ahead and do a save on that, just in case something bad happens, like I accidentally turn off align frames. That was embarrassing. That's one of those things that should be hard to turn off. If you click it, it should ask you, are you sure you want to stop aligning frames? That would be the smart thing to do, but I know there's some reflection parts of the Pac-Man Nebula, but we don't really seem to be seeing much of those. Excuse me. I'm going to have to get some water. I'll be back in a moment. I'm going to go to auto to fit the whole thing in here. And let that stack up for a few minutes here while I'm getting water. All right. Well, that's looking halfway decent. Definitely we're seeing red better than we're seeing any other colors right now. We should be able to see greens and blues, and they're just not really coming through. So that's something to do with the sky conditions. Let me see if I want to see if some of this is getting knocked out in the process of doing color balance. Just to see. It's quite possible that that's part of the problem. Oh, hang on. Oh, yeah, something just happened. We're definitely having some variation in the sky. Okay. I'm going to pause the live stack here so we don't introduce some artifacts that are just going to cause us problems. And I'm going to go check the okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try manually. Hmm. Yeah. I'm manually playing around with the color balance here to see if I can improve things a little bit. It just doesn't. It just doesn't seem to help. Okay. All right. So I'm going to adjust the black point here a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and save this. Let's try this. And it looks like we got 178 frames. So I'm going to mark this. Create new observation. LPRD2 into gain 120 over 2 seconds times 178. Yeah, that's pretty decent. Nice dust clouds and okay. Let me double check to make sure I've saved everything here. Okay, got that saved. Hey, you can see I can't quite fit it in there. I've got, I don't have quite the field of view to fit the whole thing in. Alrighty. So I'm going to try the owl cluster and see what we get. And then I think I might be calling it quits for the night unless I have some inspiration. Oh, that reminds me, I meant to look at what the, yeah, sky brightness doesn't look like it went out of whack that far. Okay, so where's the owl cluster? There it is. Let's go to that. I may hit the owl cluster and then M52, which is up there somewhere. Okay. Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. And that is the owl cluster right there. I don't know why that's called the owl cluster. It's a little bit of a mystery. Yeah, I'll probably have to color correct these. Shortcap does not color balance quite properly to cope with the oddities of the IDIS LPRD2 filter. The new version coming out, the beta of version 3.2 may be a little bit better. I know they've added some additional features there, so that might work a little bit better. I find that as soon as I take them into an image processing program, then I can more accurately adjust the color, and then things that are blue are more blue the way they should be, and so on. You tend to lose blues, even though they're in there, um, with the color balance that SharpCap provides. Um, so I don't know. It's a little frustrating. I'd like that to work a little bit better. Um, okay. Okay. So this is NGC 457. GC 457. Owl cluster. I'm going to go ahead and save that. Star cluster is a lot easier image than other sorts of things. And I'm sure I'm going to have some pretty pretty blue stars in there once I do some color correction there. See if there are any other objects that are very close to that. Oh, that's what I thought. Okay. I was noticing something that looked like a galaxy over there, and indeed, there are a couple of galaxies over here. 17.5 magnitude and 16.2. Yep, there's the 17.5 magnitude galaxy. And oh wait, maybe I have that wrong. Okay, there's that. Oh, okay. So there is There's a 17.45 magnitude galaxy. There's the 16.2 magnitude galaxy. And then right up in here. Wait. Yeah, right there's another galaxy. It's very, very faint. At 17.3, it should be a little more. Oh, there it is right there. I see it now. Okay. So it's nice to get an open cluster with some galaxies shining through. In fact, that might be a galaxy back in there too. There may be some in there too. All right. I'm going to go ahead and save that. Okay. And I think, let's see, Pac-Man Nebula looked pretty reasonably decent. So maybe I'm going to try, I think I'll try the Gamma Cassiopeia Nebula. Let's see if we can get that. Okay, so I'm going to go to Navi first just to get alignment. There it is. Pretty close. Okay, that's good. Now that's centered on my field of view. Good. Okay, so now I'm going to go over to this guy right here. We'll see what we get. Okay. Okay. I see 59 and cast. Oh, we're going to get something. I can see a little bit of the other nebula here. Navi is right over here. You can just see a little bit of the glow from it. And this nebula here is a much dimmer portion of it, so maybe we'll have some better luck with this guy. I can see it starting to show up in here. Yeah, this is a very dim portion of the nebula. It's not going to show up well, I don't think. I'm going to try for this guy instead. Okay. So I'm going to clear the live stack, and I'm going to go down, down, down. There. Okay. There we go. That's looking better. And I figured I'd try to get a little bit of this guy over here too, and you can definitely see something going on there, but we'll just let that go for a few minutes and see what we get. I imaged this last year, I think, or no, or early in the year with my Revolution Imager, but it was kind of so-so. It was an okay image, but um, the conditions weren't great. I can't remember exactly what the situation was. And I thought, oh, actually, I think what it was, it may have been at a time when the sky wasn't as dark as it should be. Now this one, we're actually picking up some blue in here. So there's some blue-green behind the red. So that's a good sign, I think. Let's see how we're stacking here. We're stacking just fine. So our images are sharp. Yeah, we're definitely picking up blue in here now. That's good. Okay. I'll let that go for a minute and see what we get. I gotta take a break for just a moment. I'll just let that stack and we'll see what we end up with here. I don't know if anybody's still online here. Let's see. Is there anybody? Oh, yeah, there are 2 people viewing. Okay. I keep recording because I figure, people will be looking at it later, and maybe skimming through it. So I'll put some comments on it. This is, I'm going to do a safety save on this. This is IC63 right here. The Gamma Cassiopeia Nebula is kind of in 2 pieces. Here's Gamma Cassiopeia Navi, and then this is IC63 and IC59. And they just kind of have this arc here. And I don't know if these are illuminated by Navi or not. Yeah, apparently they are associated and are being lit by it. Okay. All right. It's interesting when you look at this. This looks like this is probably narrowband, a narrowband image, and it's not picking up blue in here at all. It's picking up a little bit of blue here, but not here. And I'm picking that up in here. That's most definitely some blue, some reflection nebula portion of this image. And so that's kind of interesting. So, okay, and we're picking up some of this other nebula over here. So that's kind of interesting to see. This is upside down, rotated 180 degrees. So this is this portion over here. And again, I'm starting to pick up some blue in here as well. Sometimes narrowband images don't always pick up the some of these reflection nebula aspects of things. But okay, I'm going to let that go for a minute. I'll be back in a moment. I'm going to turn the light out and check out the sky situation. Well, that's decent. This is the only good part of the sky. Cassiopeia is kind of in a little bubble, and if you go about 15 degrees, maybe 20 degrees in either any direction, you start getting into this reddish, bluish, something or other haze um, coming from um, presumably some sort of sky glow in Portland and all that. So I'm going to go ahead and do a save on this. Starting to get some pretty decent detail in here. Nice. Little double star here. Definitely starting to pick up this blue reflection aspect of the nebula here. It's interesting. The Pac-Man Nebula I was not picking this up in the Pac-Man Nebula, but here I'm picking it up here just fine. So I don't know. I may have adjusted the color balance a little bit so that the blues are showing up a little bit better. Odd. I don't know. Don't know what's going on there. Hmm. Oh, I noticed there was a little fuzzy patch. Oh, there we go. Yeah, this thing. Fuzzy little patch there. That is okay. So there's that red star. Yeah, you can see. Okay, let me try. Hello. Let's try that again. Okay. So there we go. Okay, that. That was too far out. Okay. So there are those. Right. Okay. So there are those two stars, which point at this little thing here, and that's that. Okay. So there's that red star right there. And then there's that little double star right there. What the separation there is, it's kind of interesting. Okay, that's 5.4 seconds separation right there. Okay. Well, that's not too bad, all things considered. I'm going to go ahead and save that. 10 minutes. It's longer than usual. That's a nice little reflection nebula. Yeah, the tracking is actually really good tonight. Everything is working pretty darn well. Just sky conditions and yeah. So let's see where we're at here. So that's cranking away. I'm going to mark this as observed, and then there we go. Pin 2, minus LRT2, and 2 gain 4.8, and then 2 seconds times 46. Wow, okay. And I'll make further annotations on these later. I want to look to see if there's some other, since we got a decent view of that, I want to see if there's some other objects that might be worthwhile in Cassiopeia. Let's see here. There's Vandenberg. One. Well, we could try that. See if we can get that dark nebula too. So, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. We've got almost 13 minutes. So that's going to be plenty to mess around with contrast. You can see the view at 100%. It's pretty darn smooth, so there's lots of data to work with there to stretch contrast further, and play with that and try to pull out that blue and see what's there. So, okay. And since Cassiopeia is, well, in a nice little hole where we can see, I'm going to go ahead and we'll just set up. Come on. I got calf in there. Right at the corner. Far. Okay. Pretty good. Okay. So I wait for the tracking to come in. Looks like we're getting good star images now. See, it's drifting a little bit as the mount's settling in. Come on. Man. just drifting right out here. Okay. Let's see if that does it. Stay. Okay. Now we're good. Okay. Clear this. And this is VDB. What is it? Oh, it is Vandenberg 1. Okay. VDB 1. Okay. That's what I wanted. Okay, wait. Mess that up. Okay. There. Doggone it. Okay. There. Okay. Ready? Okay. There we go. There we go. Well, that's cool. I like. So there's Vandenberg 1, little reflection nebula there. Around these 3 little stars here. It does look like it extends further out, so we can let that go for a little bit and see what we get. I see something else over there too. I don't know if that's real or, oh no, that's diffraction pattern. Never mind. But this is pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to go up to 100%. Yeah, that's all diffraction pattern there. And you can see how the diffraction pattern produces a slight fan, and that's because of the image rotation. Ah, hot pixel. Yeah, I knew I had one. I gotta do new darks. Every few weeks, it seems like I get a new hot pixel. It's like, okay, I gotta do my darks again to suppress that. So this is 1:1. Pixel scale is about 1 arc second per pixel. And oh, we're getting starting to get the reflection nebula on this star down here as well. So we'll let this stack for a little bit and see what we get. Reminds me of a kind of a mini Pleiades. Oh, there's supposed to be a dark nebula right there too. Let's see. Okay, so if we look at, there should be, okay. So there's a little triangle stars here, and calf triangle, that's a rich star. Oh, okay. So there's this triangle here, is that triangle there. So the dark nebula, supposedly, is supposed to be right in there. I don't see it. But you know what? Dark nebulae are really, really hard to observe from the city. I really have to go out into the countryside to actually be able to see them. It's just the way it is. These are coming in pretty nicely. Nope. Okay. So I'm going to do a create observation on this guy. Create observation while that's stacking away. Okay. So bin to IDIS LPRD2 into gain 420 exposure 2 seconds times more than 100. Okay. To reflection nebula on group of 3 bright stars. The other around single bright star. Okay. And I see hints of, looks like there's some dust. A few spots here, right here, and here. So, with hints of dust. Okay. That's the sort of thing I'm going to have to, hello? There. Okay. I'm going to have to go back and look at some other time under better conditions. Okay. I think I might be just about ready to wrap it up. Getting kind of tired and I need to get up tomorrow fairly early. Owl cluster. Where is this guy? He's at 45. You know what? Maybe NGC 896 is a parting shot. So I'm going to let this go for a little longer. Let's see, 5 minutes should be enough for this guy. I'd like to look at this. This is kind of interesting because you can see if there's a dark nebula, it really looks like it's down here, oddly enough. But this fan-shaped thing. But this looks like, to me, as if it goes quite a ways out, actually, not just around these guys. So it might be interesting to do this under a dark sky side at some point. In fact, I see hints of it out to here. So, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And I think our last target for the night which just entered our nice little viewport on the sky, is NGC 896. So we'll go to that. See what we get. Yep. So long, Greg. Yeah, I'm going to do one last imaging thing and then head to bed. I am definitely getting tired and have to put the top on my scope, so, or the cover on my scope, and bring a few things in. So it takes me about maybe 15 minutes to safe the scope for overnight. Okay, let's see what we get. NGC 896 live stack. Wow, this is the previous one. You can really, yeah, there's definitely a dark nebula down there. I don't know what they're talking about down there. Anyway, let's see what we get. See if we get anything. Come on. Star images look okay. Just looks like the seeing just got worse. I'm going to kick this up to 4.5. And we have our first image. No, we don't. Okay. 7. Don't be shy. There we go. Okay. Let's try this. All right. Oh dear, I think something bad just happened. Oh no, there we go. Okay. Well, I think I'm off target here, so I'm going to pause this. I'm going to go up. There. Let's try again. Nope. One more step. There we go. And okay, I need to go this way a little bit too. There. Okay, that's it. What happened? Okay. Why is the brightness filter kicking things out? Huh. Okay. There, that's better. It's a little darker in this direction, so I'm going to pull this back ever so slightly. And we'll just let that run for a little bit. That looks pretty nice. Gonna get something decent out of this one, I think. Yeah, this is good. Oh, I'm so happy with my collimation. This has been a real irritant for me for the last couple of months as I realized why I wasn't getting good results all over the sky. All right, so I'm gonna let that go for a little bit. Let's see what we get. I'm going to check sky conditions. Well, that's NGC 896, a large star-forming region. Starting to see some of the detail pop in here. Looks like I'm getting a little bit of wiggle from in the star shapes here. It looks like kind of an up-down mostly, which is probably has to do with the tracking drift going this way. But it's not too bad. There's that damn hot pixel again. You know, the funny thing is I could have sworn I had a green hot pixel, and I don't see it anymore. Now I've got a red one. And the green one seems to have mended itself. I could have sworn it was, I don't know, where the heck, it was like right in the middle somewhere. So maybe the red pixel, hot pixel will mend itself too, and I won't have to take new darks, right? Wishful thinking, of course. Okay. That's pretty. This will be interesting to play around with in post-processing. See what else I can get besides the red here. I'm sure that there's some additional color that'll pop out once I take it into another program. But I'm going to go let that go for a little bit, and I think I'm going to go ahead and sign off. This is pretty much going to be the last one, so it'll go a little bit deeper than this. But this one is just for those curious. There's Cassiopeia right here, and we're looking right there, and it's the NGC 496 is actually just one end of the Heart Nebula. So here's the Heart Nebula, and here's the Soul Nebula. this whole complex is a very common, popular imaging target for folks. And so anyway, but I am a narrow field. I have a longer focal length, so I'm pretty much restricted to narrow field work. And that's okay with me. So there's plenty of cool stuff like this, little targeted areas where you can zoom in and look at all the details and given parts of nebulas. This one's kind of interesting. There's this kind of this network pattern here. I don't know if that's just an artifact in the imaging, maybe in the flat field. As it rotates a little bit, those will either smooth out or get more enhanced, indicating it's actually in the image. So that's the beauty of stacking. I will find out. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. And good talking with everybody. I hope everybody enjoyed it. And good to see. There's a green pixel. Good to see and talk with everyone, and hope you have a good weekend. So let me see if I can find where I turn this off. Signing off.